All right, so here's another one. As I say here, never in recorded history has anybody witnessed a crater being formed by a meteorite. So like nobody's ever said, oh, look, there's a falling star, and then boom, it hits the earth, and then they go there and they find the crater. Okay. And this particular one, no. Okay. So in this one, there's this famous story of a entrepreneur who thought this would be worth the meteorite, if he could recover it, would be worth billions of dollars. So he put all of his money into trying to excavate it. He never found it. Okay, so what creates these craters? Is it these things? Okay, these two things that I'm mentioning here. One is possible like gas. You're not so much a volcanic, but like gases in the form of hydrocarbons that were trapped underground that for some reason get released and they explode up through gas. I think that's been recorded in places in Siberia, actually, these mysterious holes popping up, and that's what they think it is, like permafrost suddenly thawing. Okay, so it could be that, gas explosions, electrical discharges. Okay, so this is another one. I've seen an example of how a potato had electrodes stuck into it and then put next to another electrode, and there were arcs of electricity into the potato that made perfect little round craters that look just like what you see on the moon. Okay. Or was it done, was this the act of some highly advanced race that came here? Maybe it was a way of excavating. Another thing I want you to notice is that all the craters on Earth are, and the moon, by the way, are perfectly round. Now with the Earth, you can kind of understand it because our atmosphere and the gravity is greater than the moon, but the moon has no atmosphere to slow things down as they're coming in, and not nearly the gravity of Earth. So something that's moving very fast, for example, a comet, or even some asteroids that are moving very fast and they're coming in at an oblique angle to the moon, wouldn't be pulled into at a 90-degree angle, which is what would have to happen in order for the craters to be perfectly round. You got me? So, and if you look at the moon, and I've got this one here too, I think, some pictures of the moon. Oh, and this, you're gonna love this. Okay. So first off, you can go and search the moon, and you won't find any ricochets, no gouges, no long like trenches or teardrop shaped craters that were formed from meteorites or asteroids coming in at an oblique angle and then skipping off back into space. You'll find some that may be slightly not circular, but that I think is two craters on top of each other. Now, this video footage claims to be of an asteroid coming in and striking the moon, but let's watch. Turn off the sound there. Okay. Now they'll show it again like in slow motion replay. Okay. Do you see a meteorite? Do you see something coming in and striking the moon? Did you see it? Did you see something over here? Let's look again. Slow motion, great. All right, well, that's the blast. Okay. But we didn't see anything creating it. Maybe this was an electrical discharge. Maybe this was something blowing up from underneath. But we didn't see a meteorite strike there. All we saw was the flash of light. Okay, so that they're telling us what it is, but why should we believe them? We can't believe anything they tell us, right? All right, so pick these cards up. By the way, we got the answer for the nukes. No reason to fear them. What are nuclear power plants? I think they could be using Tesla technology actually to create energy, and then they hide them in those big uh, cooling towers. There's massive cooling towers that they use at nuclear power plants. You know, if they're probably getting free energy through Tesla technology and then selling it to us and and telling us that it's dangerous. And you know, look at what was it, Chernobyl? Um, Wildlife is flourishing in Chernobyl. They're not. You don't see two-headed deer or mutant bears or any of these other sci-fi things happening in Chernobyl. Um, so, and what about what is it, Fukushima? Right? They told us that the Pacific Ocean was going to be completely dead within 3 years from all the radiation that poured into it. There's still Japanese people catching fish and eating them from off the coast of Fukushima, not to mention living within a few miles of it. So, what a bunch of shit, bullshit, and you've all been fooled. But it's easier to fool you than convince you that you have been fooled. All right. So our next one is these craters. What actually forms craters on the Earth? And just to keep it simple, I'm going to separate the Earth and the Moon. Since we're talking about earthly craters, we're only going to talk about these. What is the nature of those craters? Because the Moon's a totally another thing. All right, so let's get the swap around the camera. Okay, what is the nature of craters on Earth? First off, I think they're relatively new. Okay, the Page of Pentacles. The page is just the beginning of something, and Pentacles is literally Earth. So, and it happened very swiftly, very suddenly, in a relatively short period of time. So instead of millions of years, more like probably thousands of years, relatively speaking. Okay, now it does. Hmm. Information. King of Swords, Chariot. I do want to say that they were the result of some type of military action. Okay, with the Chariot, King of Swords here, and the Ace of Swords down here. It was I think there had been a war going on, like it was a covert war, and it was some sort of weapon, like more like a rod from God. To have the Earth. Okay. These esoteric things are a lot harder to figure out. Could it be something coming up from inside the Earth? Okay, so that was one of the possibilities was some type of deep underground explosion. All right. And that kind of feels like that with this Page of Pentacles. New Earth. Like I have a theory that the Earth is constantly growing, getting bigger, expanding. This might be a way of creating more land. All right, I'm gonna dig deeper, but then I got this King of Swords and this Patriot, which I get the feeling that this was military thing, that there might have been, they might be the result of some type of fighting that was going on with technology. I'm going to explore, I want to ask a little bit more. Well, that's a yes to my answer. So I think it was another type of technology, not nuclear, that was used in, and it was used to end a war that was going on. Yeah, there's another 10. So this was probably, yeah, this was probably, okay, so what we're seeing here, I'm a little bit surprised at this, is the scars that was left on Earth from an ancient war. They weren't nuclear bombs. They were some sort of kinetic weapon, more like something like rod from God. And I would guess that the material that they used would completely be obliterated in the explosion. That's why you wouldn't find anything. I think that's the way a rod from God works. I mean, if you were to go somewhere where a rod from God had been dropped and tried to find some evidence of it, you wouldn't. Not in any small pieces, it'd be microscopic. All right. But yeah, I'm going to say that these are the remnants of ancient wars going back maybe before the time of man, back when the Titans were still here. Maybe they were used to take out the Titans, something like that. All right, well, let's move on because I've got a lot more questions. All right, so this is going to end up being a long video, I know. Maybe I'll have to break it into sections. Okay, so let's go back to in search of. Okay, so advanced technology. I think that's what it was, not nuclear. Okay, but okay, let's go on and find our next question, which is in description. Well, I'm glad I put these in the description. Isaac Asimov. Okay, so there's a lot of talk that people like Isaac Asimov are actually responsible for what we know of as rocket science and space science today. So like they came up with the idea of satellites and robots and all these other things. They started off as science fiction, and you could think of it as like predictive programming and a way to pave the way for, and by the way, I don't think satellites are fake. The way they're described in NASA with using rocket engines and circling the globe, that part's not real, but there is something up there. I'm not sure the nature of it. I have some theories, some very unique theories that I've never heard anybody voice before, such as using rockets just to get them up there to the dome or ceiling or whatever it is, and then using superconductor superpositioning to put them in a stable orbit going around the flat Earth. But anyways, I just want to look at this guy, Isaac Asimov. He looks like he might be the type of guy who does things with small people, children, doesn't he? But I'm just gonna, I don't know. And I was never a fan of his books, even though I love science fiction. I read a couple of his books that I found them too technical and not very fun. But let's see what the cards say about Isaac Asimov real quick. Just in general, what was his character? What was he all about? You know, was he what he claimed to be? Was he honest? Okay. Was he really that smart? Just in general. Let's Isaac Asimov. What's up with that guy? Okay. This is Isaac Asimov. Okay, so I think Isaac Asimov is just one of a whole community of writers and people who they've enlisted uh, for this type of thing. Um, they the Hangman is take a pause here. Okay, now the Hangman often turns up when it's getting you to see things in a different way, a new perspective, maybe even one that's not true, and it's designed to have give you worries, because you know a lot of these writers like Asimov and Philip K. Dick, they write about dystopian futures where robots take over the world, or alien races destroy the earth, things like that. Okay, so it's a way of manipulating people's consciousness to see that, to get them to see things in a different way. With his four swords in the background, probably like 75% of the stuff that Isaac Asimov came up with was from his imagination, but 25% of it was somehow deceptive or hidden, something like that. Anyways, they're hiding something. They're giving you some truth and then hiding some of it. And this was a part of the this was working for the black hats, like almost like a military. He could have been CIA, right? Isaac Asimov could have been CIA or some other type of plant by a military. He military, definitely military, and yeah, he's there to give false information. Okay, so that's what Isaac Asimov is all about. Very intellectual, as we know he's supposed to be. He was very smart, but planting seeds, using that intellect to plant seeds that that was to benefit the cabal. All right, so that's what these science fiction writers of the day were there to do. except for Gene Roddenberry. I mean, I know a lot of people say that he was a cabal and that he was working for the bad guys, but he may. I don't think he started off that way. I don't think the Star Trek universe started off that way. It's a very positive message. There's all kinds of great things, and anyways, don't want to get into that. All right, so yes, I love Star Trek. All right, now make sure I'm doing everything correctly here. Let's go on to our next question. I'm trying to get through these as fast as I can because we have a lot to do. All right, now all right, we're going to look at this. This next question. All right, what's the truth about black holes? I could go on about dark matter. That's something else. I could go on about how I could make this into a 2-hour video. I'm not going to do that. Dark matter. They had to come up with something to explain the observation of why galaxies weren't spinning the way they expected them to spin. So they came up with this stuff that you can't see, you can't measure. There's no way you can ever prove dark matter exists, but it has to exist in order for their mathematical model to work. That's circular reasoning and double speak science at its best. So a real quick look, since they brought it up here, what is this with black holes? Why did they come up with this fiction of black holes? Do they exist? I don't think they do, at least not in the form that Stephen Hawking says that they exist. LIGO. I know somebody's out there going, LIGO proved it. LIGO uses two laser beams that are over 2 miles long, or maybe they're 5 miles long, these super long laser beams that then they look for interference, like these waves that are moving through the two, where the two laser beams intersect or something. I know it's really complicated. I'm not a, but here, laser beams are straight, right? Straight, you can't, gravity doesn't affect the laser beam, right? So these laser beams are 2 miles long, or maybe they're 5 miles long, but anyways, they're really long. So they're on the earth, right? They're on the surface, or maybe they're buried just below the earth. How are they perfectly straight for 2 miles if there's, like, I don't know, do the math, 8 inches per mile squared, something like 400 foot of curvature in 2 miles? But yet they're able to track these perfectly straight laser beams that can measure something that happened billions of years ago and trillions of light years away or whatever. It's ridiculous. It's absurd. People, use your brains. Sorry for yelling at you. Okay. So this was black holes. Oh, wow. Well, I think they exist in their portals. They're portals that allow you to travel quickly from one place to another, and they're created. They're made by some very by some master races, or some, like the original, like a very ancient race made them, like stargates. They're stargates. So there's some truth to that. And but they're being kept under wraps. They're very secret, they're very unique, and they're only, the knowledge of them is kept very secret because they're very useful to whoever has control over them. So yeah, there are black holes. They're not as they're described by astrophysicists. Okay, they're totally different. They're unique, but there is something like a black hole that creates like a wormhole that you can then use to travel. Pretty cool stuff. Uh, so they're used to travel, and they're very guarded. They're very protected because if they got into the wrong hands, which they have before, they would be very dangerous. So they're locked down. Okay, so that's about black holes. Now let's go to our next thing. I'm getting better at switching screens here. That's good. All right, black holes. It's like a euphemism. These black holes is a euphemism that they came up, and they have to tell you stuff as part of their credo. Anyway, let's see what. Oh yeah, go to the description. Truth about are those films of nuclear? Oh, okay, yeah, we saw this in the beginning. I showed you where people were questioning this. You love the sound effects. They throw in these like old 70s style, like somebody hitting the big aluminum sheet to make this thunder sound. Okay, yeah. They, they say that the palace, that's the one with the dome shaped roof. They say that that one survived because it was directly at ground zero. So the blast came straight down. Like they say, the trees in Tunguska, the ones in the middle were left standing and all the other ones were flattened. But these brick buildings were not directly under the blast. They survived. No debris in the streets. So that was the other thing you noticed in that picture right there. That the streets were clear. Did they clear them that quickly? They didn't have bulldozers or something that would go out and clear these streets, but you saw all the pictures. If there was a blast, then that debris would all be in the streets, would it not? Okay, so the come back to camera. So yeah, those pictures, those movies that look fake as hell now, of buildings being blown over, and so we're going to take a look at those. How did they make those films? That's the way I'm going to ask this. How did they make them? Yep, they definitely used miniatures, and I'm starting from the premise that I don't believe they're real. They look fake to me. I stated I think they're fake, and we're getting an ace in the past. That's saying yes, Scott, you're right about that. That's true. Uh, it took a lot of planning by the people that were in charge at the time, and they very careful about how they film these. They wanted them to look believable with these pentacles, and they did it by using miniatures. Okay, so the page of pentacles, think of young or small or starting out, or just small things of Earth. So they used miniatures, and it was deception and deception. And they may have even been using somehow some alien technology in there, uh, or or something like that. Okay, so yeah, it was very well planned out and using miniatures, fake models that they made. Okay, so that's my take on that. And let's go on to the next one. Sorry if I'm rushing through these, but I kind of want to get them all done in a okay, and go on to our next question. Films. What destroyed Hiroshima? Fire or an atomic bomb? Okay, so look this one. Yeah, so now we already looked at this. Okay, so what caused this devastation? We're going to look at that. What really destroyed Nagasaki and Hiroshima? Something's flying out there. What was that? Six of Cups. So for this, let's see, wands or fire? I'm gonna, if it was fire bombs, it's gonna be wands. If it was well, anyways, we're gonna look for a lot of wands. So we should be seeing a lot of wands if it is what I think it is. Fire. Okay, let's get into this. What destroyed those two cities, Hiroshima and Nagasaki? Okay, well, um, the only wands we got is the 10 of wands down here, but that's that's a lot of wands. That's 10 wands in one card. And then the pentacles. The pentacles is the wood itself that burns. Okay. So they had all of this fuel for burning. This the Seven of Pentacles. And I mean, we're really getting how tragic how tragic this was for the people that were there. This was a judgment on Japan for trying to take over the world. They're part of the world. They did a lot of heinous things, if we believe the history books. They were trying to set themselves up and like how very isolationist. That's why they're coming up as the Queen of Swords here, and all this sorrow that was created by the devastation and remorse, regret. But I want to say that 100% of the damage with this 10 was from fire. Okay, they dropped napalm bombs on every city and that of any size in Tokyo, go back and watch Fog of War with McNamara. He talks about how they did that, and what that's why they dropped the bombs on Nagasaki and Hiroshima, because Tokyo had already been destroyed by fire bombs, right? So yeah, go do your own research. Those were Japan was destroyed with fire, not with nuclear weapons. You can also go and find the story of the guy who survived not one but two nuclear blasts. He was in the first one, and then he escaped and he survived, and he went. Oops, didn't mean to do that. He went on to the next one. He went to the other city, and then he got bombed there, and he survived and went on to live for a long time. True stories. Just go look it up for yourself if you're so inclined. All right, and then we got here. All right, let's listen to Mr. Nimoy. Oh no, it's this. About the possibility of Okay, so you hear what his theory is. I'll make it a little bit more general. Was this a spacecraft that crashed, or was there any extraterrestrial involvement? And when I say extraterrestrial, coming from beyond the Earth that we know, whether it's a plane, a ball, whatever it is, coming from outside our borders, which I reckon to be Antarctica, or coming from above through the ceiling or dome, whichever it is, or up, from the underground. But in either case, any case, it would be extraterrestrial beings with advanced technology. Did that have anything to do with this? Oh, because there's this. Let me go back, because he talks about how it made a course correction, and I found this to be fascinating. This is what I would say. Ah, okay, so this is really interesting. If this is true, then was it under intelligent control? Okay, so that we're going to add that into our question. All right, great. Great Scott. So yeah, what caused that course correction? Was it under intelligent control by an extraterrestrial force, or maybe if it wasn't extraterrestrial, maybe it was Tartarian or something like that. I don't know. Let's see. Well, it was military. Hmm. Hmm. They were benevolent, I think, with this Ten of Pentacles. It was a military vehicle. I think it was something it was brand new. It was something brand new. They were testing it, and then something went wrong with it. There was like they so I think it was hmm, it was under military control. It was something brand new, some brand new technology that they got. And something went wrong. It's like I don't know. I'm getting that this idea that it was what's the term for it? Back engineered technology that was in human hands, and they were lacking some knowledge about how to operate, and that's why it went out of control. And then to avoid human population, that's why they made that course correction, because they want to cause as little damage as possible. They want to temper the damage that came from it, save all the villages and people. And even though at great cost to themselves, whoever was piloting that, because it was under intelligent control, just the same way this knight is in control of this horse, but he's out. It got out of control, right? Same way this guy's out of control here, and what there was a loss of life to people that were on board. Looks like somehow maybe some were able to get out and escape or something, but yeah, I think it was uh, humans, Earth people, regular Earth people, who somehow got a hold of some Tartarian or alien technology that they were trying to resurrect, and they didn't have all the. There was a page missing from the instruction manual, and it caused them to crash and maybe even self-destruct. Yeah, they had because they had to sacrifice it. So it was a self-destruct. That's why it didn't crash down into the earth. They hit the self-destruct. Okay. And I think we have one more question left, right? So what was it? I believe that's the question. All right. Well, I think we answered that, but maybe we'll dig a little deeper. So one last reading here. Okay, go back. All right, cool. I'm exhausted after this. So one last thing. It's like, what does the universe want to tell us about this? I'm gonna assume that I was right, that it was a vehicle that was under the control of terrestrial, or at least not not some foreign alien type, but just in general. What does the universe want to tell us about the Tunguska event and the vehicle that created and the people who created the vehicle? Okay, that's what we're looking at now. And this will put an end to this episode of In Search of. I hope you all enjoyed it. Please, if you did, like, share, subscribe. And I work really hard. So if you want to send me a dollar or a couple dollars uh, through my PayPal account, you'll have the link there. Okay, so I think this was the alliance that was the alliance at the time. These were the good guys, and they were trying to come up with a technology that they could use against the cabal, the the reptilians, the draconians. That's what they were trying to do, and and they there might have even been some that the reason they crashed might have been some kind of subterfuge, like maybe they had a mole in there that sabotaged it or something to set them back. Otherwise, maybe we would have had the Space Force 100 years ago, had they been able to develop that technology. It's technology that they were trying to develop that would bring mankind out of troubled water and be good for all of mankind, be good for the world. It would set up, it would give us a platform from which to fight the draconians. But they were able to stop the early alliance at that time. And when they lost that technology, it set them back decades, and that gave the Black Hats time to infiltrate government and get control over the space program that would be coming out in the next few years, 50 years later. So that's what I get. That's what my intuitive insight says, and that's how I read these cards. So, hey, this is all just for entertainment anyway. We're just having fun here, people. A little something different than the news. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next In Search of. Thank you for watching.